Okay, so this is a trip report from my recent LSD trip that I had. I just want to start off with a disclaimer. I'm not advocating for the use of psychedelics for anyone or to take illegal substances. I definitely don't think that everybody should be taking psychedelics. For me personally, I do advocate for their legality for medicinal purposes because I personally have found them to be one of the greatest healers when it comes to spiritual health. They connect me to something deeper inside myself. They connect me to something outside myself. They help me see parts of myself that I've been hiding. They bring to surface parts of my unconscious and allow me to integrate that. They help me see the blinders in my life of what I'm not really able to see otherwise by having an altered state of consciousness. And while I don't think you need to have psychedelics for the healing journey, I think they can help accelerate the process, which is why I enjoy them. So the overriding theme for my trip this time was it's time for me to let go of this need that I have to save the world. I have a bit of a complex inside me where I feel like I need to save the world. I wouldn't say that it's really egotistical. Like, it's not a Jesus complex. If anything, it feels very self-sacrificial. I feel like there's so much burning and fire going on in the world that I just feel like it's my duty almost to just have to help fix that. And I feel like nobody else is really doing it. And so the responsibility is kind of fallen onto my shoulders, and it's a burden that I really don't want to carry because it keeps me in survival mode and it stresses me the fuck out. But I think part of it as well is that I feel like I made my way out of depression, made my way out of trauma, and I feel like I just see everybody on fire around me burning, and I just want to tell everybody I found the way, come on, this is the way, come on. And I just want to kind of carry everybody with me. There's a quote that I saw on Instagram and it really resonated with me deeply, and I think it sums up exactly how I feel about this, and it is by Stephanie Sparkles, who said, I don't know if that's a real name, sorry, Stephanie Sparkles, come on, bitch. Anyway, I love when people that have been through hell walk out of the flames carrying buckets of water for those still consumed by the fire. And so that quote, I feel, kind of became my motto. And yeah, that's kind of it. I feel like I made it out. Sometimes I wonder if it's a bit of almost survivor's guilt. I've lost a good friend to suicide last year. And I'm kind of constantly worried about, I know it was not the first suicide I've experienced. I lost an uncle as well. And I think I worry so much about how many more people I'm going to lose to suicide over the course of my lifetime, and just the helplessness around that. Yeah, I think as well that kind of need to save the world has been a driving force behind a lot of my goals, even my goals to be number one podcaster in the world, best-selling author, spread my message through my clothing. A lot of the driving force behind that is to spread my message. The world needs my message. There's definitely an element of ego behind it. I'm not going to lie. I think, definitely part of me would love the recognition and the money that would come from that, and the belief that I could make money doing something good. Also a redemption of reputation to some degree. And honestly though, I think the biggest thing is that I want to save people because I don't want to be alone. I want people to I want to carry people on the journey with me because I don't want to have to do it by myself to some degree. I also think that I use this as a distraction in a way. It's almost like when I sit down to meditate, my mind is looking for any problem that needs fixing, because I've almost got this mentality of it's not until all the problems of the world are fixed before I'm able to relax and work on me and meditate. I think I found another couple of quotes that kind of summarize why I think which has contributed to this way of thinking, why I think like this. So this quote is by Terence McKenna, who said, "The artist's task is to save the soul of mankind, and anything less is a dithering while Rome burns. If artists cannot find the way, then the way cannot be found." And here's another quote by Ernest Fisher. "In a decaying society, art, if it is truthful, must also reflect decay. And unless it wants to break faith with its social function, art must show the world as changeable and help to change it." And so I think, these have also helped influence this idea that me as an artist, I have to, fucking help the direction that the world is going in. But this has caused me like a lot of stress and pressure in my life that is really unnecessary. My dad calls it perceived pressure. And, you know, it's kind of not realistic. Like I have the weight of the world's on my shoulder. And, you know, how grandiose to think that I can change the world, you know. But I think, yeah, it stems back to this feeling of just feeling like I have to do something or else like, you know, I'm a bad person. Like I can't just watch the world burn and do nothing. Yeah, so I was really toying with this idea. And then today I spoke with I have a psychologist who specializes in psychedelic therapy. So she's been trained to help assist people through their psychedelic journeys and things like that. Her name is Dr. Lani Roy, and I'm so grateful that I have access to her in my life. And so she's, a psychologist in Australia. I'll put her details like in the notes or whatever. So anyway, I spoke to her about this and she said to me, she explained something to me that's called post-traumatic growth. And she said in post-traumatic growth, there are 3 stages of the healing journey. There is the victim, then there is the survivor, then there is the thriver. So the victim stage of the journey is when you've experienced some significant trauma, but you're not yet ready to start healing. If you're familiar with The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, then in this stage of the hero's journey, this would be the resisting the call. The second stage is the survivor stage, and this is when you start moving through things. In the hero's journey, this would be the death and rebirth stage. Finally, we have the thriver stage. So this is when you have healed and you're ready to move on to the next stage of life and you can start appreciating and starting that life. And on the hero's journey, this would be where you return with all the gifts that you have got from the journey. So I was speaking to her, my psych, about, this complex where I feel like I need to save the world. And my understanding from what she told me is that this is actually common in people who are still in the survivor stage to kind of look backwards and want to help. And yeah, like this really hit me, and a lot of things that she said really resonated with me. Basically, mostly that I'm still kind of living in the past, like I'm still kind of looking backwards. And it's really interesting because like my friend who I tripped with, he actually made the comment to me and said something like, do you feel like you kind of live in the past or you're living in the past? And it's like funny how it's obvious to him, but now it's making sense. And I actually said to him the day after the trip that I feel like I still have some grief that I still need to move through. And so basically what this is telling me is that like I'm still not done moving through my trauma, which for me is an sexual assault. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, that is so fucking annoying. Like, oh, fuck me. I feel like it's just never ending sometimes. Like, I'm just like, can we just like fucking skip to the good part? Like, how long does it have to go for? Like, seriously. Oh, like I know it never ends though. Like I know the healing journey never ends. And I know that like, like grief and like trauma kind of changes you forever. But like, sometimes I'm just like, come on, fucking hell. Like, but in general, like I think I have made massive progress, and it's kind of exciting because it's like, well, if I'm right now the happiest I've ever been and I'm still in that stage, then can you imagine like how happy I'm going to be when I'm at the thriver stage? And in some ways I do think I am at the thriver stage. Like 2 examples are that like I'm open about my story and I find gratitude for the little things in life. So I do feel like I'm kind of maybe on that verge of entering the thriver stage. But like, yeah, it's really good to know that this is where I'm at and like what I can do to work on. So some common things is basically where I'm at now is there's still a feeling of being unsafe. There's a dissociation from my body sometimes where I used to be so disconnected from my body, and now like I'm really conscious about doing things like stretching and focusing on my breathing and like what I'm eating. I'm focusing on these things in a way that I never used to in the past. And I think I kind of used to like avoid my body because like I always kind of feel like there's been this dichotomy inside of me, like always like 2 parts in conflict. And I thought it was maybe head and heart or like inner parent, inner child. But now I'm realizing that I think there's definitely just like a part of me that is so scared of coming home to my body because there's still some things in there. And I think like I can feel that in my nervous system, and that's meant to be like my psych told me that she has a really great seminar on this actually. I'm going to put it in the notes. And that said like, yeah, connecting like, yeah, chilling out your nervous system is like a big thing in this. And so that's what I'm going to focus on moving forward. But I feel like I'm kind of like always striving with these really high ambitious goals because it's kind of escapism for me. That's me kind of running away from like my body and my trauma a little bit. And so I still can really see how there's that needing to kind of bridge the gap and kind of come back home. And on like on the webinar, like one of the slides said like common signs that you have like a flight response is that you're an overthinker, you have anxiety, you have hyperactivity, and you're a perfectionist. So like ding, 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 like, so yeah, I've basically realized, so I've still kind of got some work to do. And that's exciting. So what is that work and how do I move forward? And I think that's precisely the word, forward. It's kind of time for me to kind of leave some things in the past and actually kind of start looking forward. And that brings me to the question, like, who would I be if the world did not need saving? Because my goals, like I said, have been so fueled by this desire to save the world that now if I let go of that, well, what do I actually want? You know, and it's like, can I actually be okay standing still? Because before I was kind of running away from myself. So it's like, nah, like I can actually want to. And I kind of get clear about it. And it's like, I'm actually really happy where I am. And I notice everything that I have, which I'm glad I've kind of already gone through that realization. But there's even things where like I used to, like there's some like spiritual goals that I've had. Like I wrote a list, when I turned 30, I wrote a list of like shit I want to achieve by the time I'm 40. And like top of that list was ayahuasca. But I told myself, like I've had this story in my mind that I can't go and do that until I'm successful because I need the money to go and do it. Like, yeah, granted that I need money, but like I don't have to be a fucking best-selling author before I can raise the money to go do ayahuasca. And so my priorities are shifting. You know, like another spiritual goal, I really want to do a Fit for Service summit in America with Aubrey Marcus and his community. I'm feeling called to go to Everest Base Camp again. I don't know why, but yeah. So I think like where I'm at now, and the biggest lesson from this entire trip was like it's finally time to let go of this complex of needing to save the world and also of the goals that were surrounding that complex. And to be honest, it's a fucking relief. Like it is a fucking relief. Like, so now when I think about that analogy of like being the person who makes it out of the fire and coming back with buckets of water, I don't believe in that anymore. I honestly believe that the only thing that you can do to help other people is to lead by example. That's it. And so my job isn't anymore to come back with buckets, it's to just simply make it out of the fire. That's it. And like maybe other people will see that trail and they can find that trail and that's it. You know, talk about trailblazer. But like, you know, you can make it 100 miles out of the fire and find the reason why the fire started in the first place. Or like, you know, and what are you going to do with buckets next to the fire? You just can't. Like you can't make anybody walk the journey. You can't help any. I mean, like I've always got time for people who are on the journey want to talk through their shit 100%. I'll always be there. But like I can't put people onto the journey. I can't wake people up. I can't create a consciousness shift in our world. Like people don't want to wake up until they're ready to wake up. People don't want to go and face their shit until they're ready to face their shit, you know. And so with that comes the fear that I have to accept, which is that I have to let go of the world. Like I just have to accept that I'm even more alone than I thought I was in a way, because I can't carry anyone and like I can do that. And I'm excited for that. And so like even things like the podcast now, like it really matters even less like how it's received by people. And like I'm hoping as I do this transition from Survive to Thrive that the content of this podcast will change more from just like me and my struggles to just like ideas and philosophies and cool shit. Like not that I'm judging anything that I put out, it's where I am, but it's also a reflection of where I'm at, which is pretty clearly that I'm pretty in the middle of the healing journey still. So yeah, just to finish, I'm going to read a quote from a book called Big Magic. It's by Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote a book on how to be a creative. And here is the quote. Oh, and here's another thing. You are not required to save the world with your creativity. Your art not only doesn't have to be original, in other words, it also doesn't have to be important. For example, whenever anybody tells me that they want to write a book in order to help other people, I always think, oh, please don't. Please don't try to help me. I mean, it is very kind of you to want to help people, but please don't make it your sole creative motive because we will feel the weight of your heavy intention and it will put a strain upon our souls. So that's that. And yeah, that's everything. Oh, maybe this is all bullshit. And the reason why I feel the need to save the world is because I'm an Aquarius.